tell you later.
We are recording. We're ready.
We all set?
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our September zoning board meeting. Week from today is fall, huh? Summer's over. See ya, huh? All right. Well, we have a few orders of business. We'll get to recorded hearings. Our first one is to approve the minutes from the August 18th meeting. So I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve those. Second by Jim, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Alrighty, we have a few decisions to go through. The first one is West Hampton Beach Development Partners LLC at 107 Old Riverhead Road. Jim's here for that. We have a written decision to approve that variance as requested, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept that decision as written. Second, please. Second by John. You all in favor on that one? Good, the next one is, Polydor 40 Library. No, okay, and we also have a decision to, a written decision to approve that variance, so I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and accept that decision as written. Second by Joe, all in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Randy, Shirley Tong, 29 Maple. No? Well, we still have a decision on that one. And our decision on that one, is we have a written decision to approve that variance also, so I'd like to make a motion, we go ahead and accept that as written. Have a second? Second. By Jim, all in favor? And the next one is 105 Montauk LLC, 105 Montauk and 105 Oak Street.
No,
No?
Mm-mm.
Nobody here for that?
Nobody's here for that one.
Okay, well, we have a decision on that one anyway. Even if no one came, we still have this. And our decision on that one is to, the written decision is approving that variance, so I'd like to make a motion, we go ahead and accept that variance as written. Second by John, all in favor? All right, right into our holdovers, Egret Dune Corporation, 95 Dune Road. Applicant requests variances from 197 for proposed side yard setbacks. That variance has been changed. The only thing you're looking for now, if I'm not mistaken, is combined
Total side yard
total side yard setback.
I've submitted everything to you, I've submitted the affidavit to you, I've submitted the exhibits to you. I just wanna point out very briefly that what we have is a small lot. That lot is defined under the current zoning code, and that lot was defined under the zoning code in 1953. As a small lot, we're entitled to have single side yard setback of 10 feet. We needed there in 1953, we needed a variance for total side yard. That was only 10 feet. Today we need a variance for total side yard. In 1953, we didn't need any request as far as the single side yard setback was concerned because it was only 10 feet. There was a period from 66 to 2002, based upon the way the code was written, we could have constructed without a variance because of the special condition with reference to single side. So what I'm saying to you is, I have all the information, I've submitted it to you, I don't wanna go over it again with you at this point in time. I have the plans, you received the plans the other day, yesterday we get them, or I only got them.
That was my only question, was whether you
Yeah,
submitted them.
they came, I finally got them in and it was a little bit. So unless you have any other questions, I really don't have anything else.
survey, because we were supposed to update our survey. This is the survey. The updated survey.
I hope so, it should say 10 on each side, yes, it's the one that came in, it came in 2 days ago. You got it? Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
I made some comments in this, previous meetings about this application. The only parting comment I have today would be on the small lot provision. I see that, you're requesting the 10 and 10 on each side.
Yeah.
Right, which the small lot,
Yeah.
Speaks to. It also speaks to the combined side yards, which will go down from 50 to 37, correct?
37 and a half, yeah.
Generally speaking, you have small lot division, was put into place, for small lots. And that was, something that was, already around of sorts. It was something that we could give that to somebody that had a small lot. Now, you want a 50%, reduction of that down to 20.
For the total side yard,
Those are,
from the total side yards to 37 and a half from 50, yeah. From 20 to 37, so I'm saying that special conditions still apply, so the variance would be from 37 and a half to the 20 feet that you have.
no,
But let me point out to you that the Court of Appeals, the fact that we have a small lot isn't a variance that was granted. When the village adopted the code, the village did not have to put in any provision regarding small lots or anything else. They elected to put a specific provision in with respect to the small lot. And the Court of Appeals said that you can do that. So that's not a variance.
okay, no, well, you're
Right,
right,
it's
you're
not
right,
variance,
you're
I'm
right,
saying.
it's technically not a variance, but it is relief because, the village.
It's what the code, it's what the village trustees determined that the village wanted to do. I'm here because I need a variance from this board, because I can't meet the total side yard requirement.
Well, my point is that relief was already given to small lots, which you were taking advantage of, from 50 down to 37 and a half, and now asking for further relief down to 20.
Yeah, okay,
Okay,
That's-
that's my own comment.
okay, that's fine. Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
I just wanna note, since the plan for the house came in, there's a roof deck which is not permitted in R3. That was not identified earlier, I just point that out.
That's fine, if it's not permitted, it's not gonna be permitted. We're looking at the variance for the building. If we got the variance, we came to you, you said no, it's no. Or it's yes, or it's changed, it's changed.
I guess he's saying it can only be yes without the roof deck included. So
Excuse
it's
me?
either no or yes without the roof deck included. Because he's saying the roof deck is something new and
I don't
not
have a
permitted.
problem with taking out the roof deck for purposes of the variance, okay? Because I don't think the variance is gonna, unless if you got a variance, you would put in that no roof deck.
Well, he's saying it's not permitted, so that would need another variance.
No, if it's not permitted, we're not asking for a variance, okay?
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
That's fine,
yes.
okay, I would agree, I agree with that. Okay?
I think so. Now, anybody else have anything they want to add to this that we haven't had before? No? Okay, good. I think we're good. I think, nobody has anything further. I don't have anything further. We've got all of our volumes here, and we've got everything. I think we'll go ahead and I'd like to make a motion, and we go ahead and close this hearing for a decision.
Second.
Second by Joe, all in favor?
Thank you.
Good. All right. This is unit. We have Michael and Elizabeth Levy, 205 June Road. Applicant request variances from 745C for proposed major additions to the dwelling within the CED area where specifically prohibited from 74-8A, 74-8A8 for proposed major additions and restorations of the dwelling within the primary dune area where specifically prohibited, and 197-29-1A, as proposed additions are located within the required rear yard, 75 feet required from the crest of the dune, representing the prohibited increase in degree of nonconformity of the building with nonconformity rear yard setback.
Good evening, for the applicant, James Anthony, 323 on the road. One of the owners of the property, Michael Kennedy. You should have received sometime last week or even the week before, an updated set of plans, where we have moved the project back from the crest of the dune, from where we proposed to locate the house 50 feet back from the crest of the dune. We think that represents a nice balance between the needs of the applicant to preserve the value of the property, and the needs of the village to move back away from the dune. It still requires a variance, but it's a reduced variance. Unlike a lot of these applications, which others, including myself, have brought, we're not looking for a whole litany of all kinds of different variances. We're really looking for coastal erosion relief, which is pretty common along this strip, and we're looking for one other form of area variance relief, which is the rear yard setback. In this particular instance, the rear yard happens to be measured from the crest of the dune, not from the actual rear yard of the property, but it is still nonetheless an area variance, and subject to the standards of an area variance and not other standards, despite the desire to protect the dune, which my client certainly shares with the rest of the village, and the initial approach here was made with that in mind, but we took the feedback from the board here, and we are seeking to relocate the house back a little bit. We've located it back to where it is because that's kind of in keeping with the rest of the neighborhood. If we went back any further, we would be looking at our back door at the front door of everybody else on the block. Again, it's not unheard of in this area and along Dune Road, along the ocean side of Dune Road, that those kind of factors are taken into consideration. We don't want to be the sentry post out of the road when everybody else still has been able to preserve the ocean view that they paid for when they purchased the property. 2 doors down, there's a house that's under construction right now. They've got very similar, well, actually additional relief than the rear yard setback relief that we're looking at. And if you look at the schematic that we provided, we line up the ocean side of our house lines up pretty much with that new construction. So it's certainly well within the realm of relief that the village has granted. We're not as far back as the house next door to the west, but we are as far back as the house to the east as well. So this is a nice balance, I think, between the desires of the village to move away from the dune, but for us to preserve what views we have, and not interfere with our neighbors and not have our neighbors interfere with us in that regard. I just want to remind the board that one of the compelling factors in some of the other applications I was involved in, where you didn't require people to move all the way back, was the fact that this section of the village has a series of 2 dunes. We understand that the setback is measured from the landward dune, but there is a whole other dune out in front of this, so this is a well-protected area. We're moving back from the inside dune, so it will remain protected. That dune itself will remain protected.
The house right now is in there.
Well, it's the deck goes right up to the edge of the dune. Yes. So by the other thing we're doing is we're moving the house, the proposed house, out of the dune for the most part. We're trying to preserve the deck and that location of the deck, but the house itself, which will now become a new construction, will be not sitting in the dune itself.
The house is going to be completely new construction.
Yes. I don't think we're going to pick this house up and move it. No.
and, you know, it's, as houses down here go, well, just even looking at the schematic, this house is not, as proposed, is not a huge house. And again, as I said, we're not looking for a lot of different relief, we're just, you know, looking for this, and, we've, you know, we've tried to give back, enough so that there's a nice balance between the needs of the village and the needs of my applicant here. Building a new home, a new relatively modest home. I know that's a relative term, but.
Pretty relative.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Can I ask, just so we have the numbers right, if I'm reading it right, it's going from 38.5 to 50?
Yes.
Those two numbers of the
Yep.
current versus
Yep.
proposed?
Yep.
so you moved it back 11,
Which is 3 or 4 times the other two examples that I gave you last time. More.
so you mentioned that there's a house down the road that has more relief than this? What is that?
The Compton house, I think we moved 5 feet
got it.
back. The house at 211, we, when that relief was granted, we moved back from the dune, from, as you can see, it lines up with the front, the proposed front, so it's a comparable distance that we moved back based on, you know, a relief that was granted last year.
Because it seems like a lot of room to move this up.
Yeah, but then we're looking at our neighbors. There is value to be preserved here in balancing against, you know, the harm versus the benefit. Or
Yeah,
the-
no, we understand that.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. We
Right,
follow it.
and also based on my client's personal experience with the storms, the house, they believe would be, further back would be more at risk from damage, because the house actually in its current location was untouched by any of the recent storms. But their rear yard was touched significantly. And if there was a house there, it would impact the house.
So how much room is behind the house?
From the house to the ocean, it's substantial. I don't,
I'm not having a problem with moving past it.
I'm sure it's on the survey, and we don't measure those things that much, because that's not
That's not,
the place that we measure from.
no, we measure it from the crest of the northern wall.
Right. Looks like, well, the lot is, almost 700 feet deep. I'd say 2/3 of that is between the house and the ocean. That's not something that the surveyor reported in the property. Yeah, I think the real issue though is that right now, we actually have a beautiful view in both directions in front of us. Every foot we move back, it impacts that view. And if I, you know, we picked the distance that we picked so that we're, not being overly impacted and not overly impacting, anybody else, while still respecting the existence of the dune.
So the house to the west, how do you line up the house to the west?
I think we
Is that
are,
what it's doing?
yeah, that's what, yeah.
So you're still quite a bit further back from the house to the west.
Yes, yep. The
What
house
are
to
you looking
the
at?
house to the east, we're behind. The house to the west, we're ahead of.
Right,
And the house, the brand new house that got zoning relief last year, we're equivalent.
you don't have that zoning
I submitted it, I didn't bring it.
variance, we have that?
Yeah.
The one that you talked about?
I think it's 211.
It should be in the packet, but I don't know off the top of my head. 211?
So 213.
Yeah.
You know, I could not find my 205
Do you know when you submitted it, Jim? Okay.
I'm happy to, you know, if that's a, if I haven't, I'm pretty sure I did submit it, but if it got misplaced in between here and there, I'm happy to submit it again. Although I would imagine Megan has a copy.
I might. I don't know.
All right, maybe it's easier for me to get.
I can email it to them tomorrow morning.
making that part of your argument, I would like to see that.
I'll make
I
sure that,
apologize, if you submitted it, I apologize for that.
You said it's 213 Brogan?
Brogan,
Okay. I'll email it to you guys tomorrow.
Well, I wanna see that
Okay.
because it could have an impact on this because, you know, when I look at this and I see, you know, it's still moving forward. And I
Right,
totally
but-
understand that
yeah.
why you're on the ocean and
Right.
everything else, but the house next to you is already there.
right?
So, to go there wouldn't be a tremendous hardship, I see.
Well, I think to go further back would be a hardship to us, because the further back we, you know, we own a piece of property, it has a value, and part of that value is derived from the
I
use.
understand, that's why we're here, because that's part of our variance consideration.
Right.
Okay, but you know our history with the 75 feet.
Yeah, no, I understand, and,
You're making an argument that we granted relief someplace else, but I don't have that.
okay, I'll make sure
And
that
I
we do.
just don't have a clear recollection.
Okay, I'm happy to make sure that we
And
do
all
that.
of
That wasn't very
We
contentious.
want to be fair about it,
Yes.
right? So. Maybe we'll get that for us tomorrow, in fairness, I don't think we wanna
No, I
close the
I-
hearing
you can
until
leave it open
2019,
until next
we'll be
time,
back.
and, yeah, that's fine.
Okay? So, we're definitely in the right path here, but I'm not sure that we're all the way in. So how does my board members feel? We haven't had any questions for this meeting right now? And you can add,
Yeah, Jim, I've got a couple of comments.
Sure.
The last couple of meetings, the argument was driven primarily by the foundation of the house, which we didn't want to move it because the foundation didn't want to.
That was
disturb.
the initial argument, yeah.
Right, so that's been abandoned.
Yes.
And also, in addition to that, you know, you were concerned and you were telling us that it's a good thing to have the house and the deck in the dune because that preserves the dune.
Right.
Based on-
Yeah, you guys didn't really care for that. So, we retreated.
Okay, no, I just want to be clear.
Yes.
Now, the deck, tell me about the deck. Is the deck, it's being rebuilt in the same location?
Yes,
All right, so,
yeah,
all right, so now that deck is where in reference to section agreement number?
that's 30, oh no, that's a good question. It's probably about,
10 feet or something?
no, it's more than 10. It's about half, it's closer to 20. Okay.
All right, so it's still an issue with, you know, with respect to the dune, with the deck, right?
Well, a deck is a different beast than a house. You know, we're not driving big pilings into the ground to support this deck. It's going to be relatively easy to support, and we may, I don't wanna say that we are, but we may actually be able to use some of the existing infrastructure to maintain the support of the deck.
It's still, you know, it's still.
Right, well, we'll take a look at that, but this is, at the moment, this is what the
Now, this is clearly new construction.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deck, you know, addresses are, but the houses, just east of the swordfish, the three new houses in the last about 600 years.
Mhm.
You know, they were new constructed, but, and they didn't have present unit setbacks. You know, I guess, in your argument is about the view.
Yeah. In fairness to my client, in that 2 doors down, you granted a variance to allow a house that's comparably close, and we'll know the details of it, to the dune as what we're proposing.
Now, when you say allow a house, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, go down and look, they stripped everything down, and they're building a brand new house. They have a permit to build a brand new house. Well, that's the decision, that's the Brogan decision.
that's the only way we're gonna get it.
I don't recall anything, but, you know, I don't recall the time that we allowed this much relief.
And the Compton house, which had a lot of other issues, but that's, and needed a lot more relief, we moved the house back, we were in the dune, we were similarly situated in the dune with that house,
You
and
moved the
we
house.
moved the house,
You moved the house.
and we moved it 5 feet.
You also made an argument that meekness.
Yeah, so that's why I say there was a lot, but there was a lot more relief that, you know, we're looking for one little bit of area relief, and that's the rear yard setback.
On a new construction.
Right. Well, but that's because you wouldn't accept the argument that you're keeping the building. That's your fault, not
Okay.
mine.
We'll take it, I can take a shot at it, all right? I'm not gonna,
Yeah,
not gonna argue
but,
with
you know,
about
and
that.
we've had the discussion in the past that,
Yes.
that part of the condition of the neighborhood is the fact that there is a house there now that is, 15 feet back from the rest of the building.
And we always wanna just be open on.
We want at least some,
Yeah.
we want at least some credit for the existing conditions. And so we're trying to get to a place where we still have value, and we try to, address your concern over the dune. But, you know, that's why I made the point that there are 2 dunes here. So,
Well,
I don't believe-
that's why that's why we always have the northernmost dune, that was
Right.
always, there's 2 dunes up and down.
right, but I think that, you know, the idea is protecting the shoreline, and there's 2 dunes to protect the shoreline. I think at 50 feet back from the crest of the dune for this house, the inner, dune is not gonna be harmed, is still protected. In fact, there's an argument to be made that the inner dune is as substantial as it is because the house is located where it is.
When have you made that? You
Yes.
made the argument.
That's not argument, that's not argument, you know, that decision that this board is gonna make.
No, and we're willing not to stay there, we're willing, but the idea that you have is the preservation of the shoreline. It's well preserved, it's gonna continue to be well preserved. I think that the reason why you measure the setback from the inner dune is because you don't want somebody building a house between the 2 dunes. You want the house on the inside.
You can take that up with the board, you know, that's not.
Well, no, I mean, that's the rule. I'm not asking the rule to be changed, I'm asking for you to give us a variance, a lesser variance than we originally would be looking for.
All I'm saying is
So that we can preserve what we have, the value that we have in this property. And I'm suggesting to you that we have moved back sufficiently far that the dune, the inner dune is not at risk from your, if you grant it to it. That's my point. You know, this is, I know that the dunes are special features to all of us, but at the end of the day, this setback requirement is an area variance setback requirement. It's not judged by some superior environmental standard. It is judged in the same way that any other variance for side yard relief or rear yard relief is judged, and it comes down to the balancing test between the benefits and the detriment. And my argument is that there is, every foot we move back is a detriment, and we have moved back far enough that what we want to do will not be a detriment to the green. But in the scheme of things, it has to be measured with the balancing test of the simple 5-part standard, not any other standard, because it is only, it's an area variance, it's something more than that.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. So Megan will make sure that you have that,
Yeah,
and I'll be here prepared
that's
to
why
discuss
you're arguing.
that in detail.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
so I just make a motion, anybody, comments? There's nobody has any comments, I'll make a motion to hold it over for all purposes.
Thank you.
My next meeting, and we'll see that.
I think I have the next one, but perhaps we can go to one of the other ones, and I'll be right back. If that's
We
okay.
can do that, yeah, you have the 496.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Sure.
As long as it's a short one.
I can't make it up, promise, you know that.
I just need a second on that one. Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay. That one's a
We're
holdover.
gonna hold it over because, you know.
They wanna see that decision. Me either.
One less decision.
No,
I'd like
so
to
we're,
spread them
we're
out.
holding that one over for sure, okay? And, so let me go into our new applications. Let's jump down to number 8 on our agenda tonight. Francis Butler, that's 134 Beach Road, applicant requests variances from 197-43A1 to legalize a fence erected in the front yard of the corner lot of 6 feet in height where the maximum permitted is 4 feet, and from 197-35C to legalize a freestanding sauna erected with a setback of 9.5 feet where the minimum required is 20 feet. So, hi.
I'm a little shorter than Jim.
We all are.
I'm Susanna Herman from N Consultants in Southampton, representing the homeowner, Francis Queller. Do you need these?
Yes, please. Thank you. You can leave it right there.
I also have some packets with some photographs and what's your procedure? Do I hand those to you as well?
You can hand them to Joe. Joe, you want to pass them down? And then I just need one for the file.
Okay.
And then for Brad.
I think I have 5 copies of everything.
Yeah, let's do.
I didn't, but you guys can use it and then give it to me at the end.
Okay,
Yes. Good.
one more.
Right here.
We have one more. Maybe we'll do this.
Okay.
All right.
So the property is located at 134 Beach Road. It's on a corner, so it has 2 front lots. It's on the corner of Beach Road and Mortimer Street. It's a 27,840 square foot property in the R20 zoning district, so it's a conforming lot. We're here today because there are 2 structures that were constructed without the benefit of a building permit, which unfortunately require clearance from this board. The first is a 6-foot stockade fence that goes into what is considered the front yard on the Mortimer Street side of the property. They didn't realize that this was a front yard because they use it as a side yard, but of course because it's a corner lot, there are 2 front yards on this property. The other issue is a sauna. If you look at the photographs that I sent up, the sauna shown in figure 10. It's a prefabricated, self-contained, small structure. It's 7.5 by 7 feet. And that is 9 feet from the property line, where 20 feet would be required for an accessory structure. So that's why we're here today. The fence is partially located within the front yard. It also goes around the rear yard and encompasses the rear yard of the property as well. So the family didn't realize that they needed a permit because there are multiple other 6-foot fences in the near vicinity. So I've provided a couple photographs of the fence in question. Figure 1 and 2 show the view along Mortimer Street. It's not right at the property, but set back quite a ways. They installed the fence after they put in a swimming pool in their backyard. The family installed a swimming pool in 2020 with all the permits. Then they realized they needed additional privacy because they felt very exposed to Mortimer. Another 6-foot high fence is located at 3 Mortimer Street, which is just on the same block, but at the opposite end of the block. There's photographs of that 6-foot fence as well, which was done with building permit and has a certificate of compliance, which I included in that packet as well. Additionally, at 325 Montauk Highway, there's a 6-foot high fence, which I believe was just recently approved through a site plan review. That property is apartments on the corner of Montauk Highway and Epicot Street. multi-residence and slash restaurant. And adjacent to that is an apartment complex. So because of that, and because it's a fairly open area, they felt that for their privacy that they needed to have this. They're just one block off of Montauk Highway, so noise is a factor as well. So in order to try to enjoy the backyard as much as possible, they would like to keep the 6-foot high fence in place.
Excuse me one second. Brad, am I to understand that the only part of the fence, the 6-foot fence around the rest of the property is okay, just the front yard is not allowed?
Correct, so from the furthest face of the dwelling towards the street, both directions, towards beach or towards
Right.
water.
Yeah, two front yards.
It's only permitted in 4 feet. Everywhere else behind the house, if you will, 6 feet is fine.
That's not fine. I just wanted, that's what I thought, I wanted to thank you.
And along the southern border of the adjacent.
What's that?
This-
That's what I want.
Right, so on the first page of the packet that I provided, there's an aerial view that shows the subject property. And then you can see as well across the street, directly across the street, there's a property that has a restaurant that's located on Montauk Highway, and then residences, cottages on that property as well. And then sort of patty corner across the street, also opposite on Mortimer, is the apartment complex that also wraps around to Montauk Highway. I think that's actually 3 properties. And that property has a newly installed, within the last few years at least, looks brand new, 6-foot high fence along Montauk Highway, also this height. So it's not out of character with the neighborhood. I think the value to the property owners, to the homeowners, for the enjoyment of their backyard, the privacy is very important to them. There's no detriment to any of the adjacent properties.
Sorry.
That's okay, yeah, as it goes along the driveway and then,
Yeah, yeah, open the backyard, sort of sauna, sort of shed, yeah. Got it.
so the sauna is a self-contained unit. It's small, it's only 7.5 by 7 feet.
Right.
It's well screened by the conforming part of the 6-foot high property fence, and as well as vegetation. If it were a shed, it would be okay 10 feet from the property line, as opposed to 20. If we were gonna have to relocate it to 20 feet from the property line, it would basically be in the middle of the
You
fence.
smack it over the yard.
And it wouldn't really serve any purpose to me that I can think of. It also would be expensive. So it's a pretty inert object. It is completely self-contained. It's not noisy. It's not offensive. It's very small.
So really what you're looking for is relief from the northern side, right?
For the fence, right.
Fence, that's really what we're talking about.
That
Side.
and
And
and then the sauna needs relief because it's 9 feet where 20 feet is required for the side.
the sauna is,
Now, this sauna, was that there, from the previous owner, or was that constructed?
That it came as a kit. It was prefabricated. They didn't realize they needed a permit for something like that.
What would it cost to make it, take it apart, relocate, sell, what to do?
I don't know. It's on a concrete slab, and it is anchored in some way to that slab. I would have to get an estimate.
Well, it's just a general question. Just
Yeah.
wondered what we want to do.
It would be expensive. I would,
Yeah, I'm trying to get that, concrete, electric, and the value of that sauna is probably $2,000.
it would probably cost more to move it than the cost of the sauna.
That's very reasonable.
I don't think that would work, and I think most of the cost would be removing the concrete slab that it has.
So, yeah, they didn't know they needed, they put up the wrong fence, I mean, they used a fence company
They used a fence company,
to come up the island,
yeah, the
it's on
fence,
Island Park.
yeah, you can see it actually on one of the
I don't know why
photographs.
they do that, at least find out what's supposed to happen.
I think the fence company saw other fences in the area, didn't realize it was a side yard, wasn't, didn't realize it was a front yard. And we're trying to
You're
legalize
getting concrete
everything,
fence now.
we're trying to legalize everything on this property, get everything squared away.
Dude, it's fine.
I think they've done a really nice job, they kept
They
everything
planted all
behind,
these trees, now you're gonna see they'll be higher than the fence.
they have planted
Right.
trees
Yeah.
with the anticipation that they would grow and provide additional space. You won't see the fence, which is what happened on 3 Mortimer Street. That was approved a while ago, and they, I didn't see a variance, but they do have,
We need to know that.
So, are you talking about the apartments,
no, I'm talking about 3 Mortimer Street,
the
where
house on the south?
the house,
I'm not familiar.
that was approved, the building permit was approved in 2001 by the previous building inspector. I have notes from the ARB discussed it, they put up an argument, and then they approved it, and then the building permit was issued.
Oh, stop.
I remember,
No.
he was tough, but a building permit was issued, I don't know how that happened, but
No, I don't know how to have either.
a certificate of occupancy was just issued recently as well, a CO for that house on, Mortimer. So it's still considered to be in compliance, so.
Well, it's got a seal of its complaint. Okay, anybody comment on this? No? Jim? How about you guys, all set? Huh? You good? Done? Okay, I don't have anything else on this. I'll make a motion to go ahead and close the hearing for decision. Next meeting, so I'll make a motion to that, do I have a second? Second by John, all in favor on it?
Alright.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. All right, we're
yes,
gonna go
please.
back to the next meeting.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we're back at the first Human Development, 496 LLC. Applicant request variance from 197 for a 2-lot subdivision with proposed lot areas of 13,211 feet and 15,222 square feet, where minimum required is 20,000. And lot widths of 80.47 and 79.53, where the minimum required is 100 feet. Few other variances requested, for the area lot coverage, 23.4 and 22.6, where the maximum permitted is 20%, proposed side yard setbacks, 15 feet for both lots. Okay, so we had a bunch of this, we did this in before, we have, we requested some information on what you were building.
Right, we submitted 2 things since the last hearing. The first was a new site plan. If you look at page 3, you'll see that we increased, the outer side yard setback on both lots to 20 feet, which is compliance, which also had the effect of, we also submitted a typical floor plan, a typical house, I guess, that there could be constructed there. And as you recall, there's kind of 2 sets of variances that are required here. One are the variances necessary for the 2 lots themselves, and then the other set of variances were for what we characterize as a building envelope to begin with, but what will ultimately we will demonstrate we have provided a building actually to go in there. And just to help out a little bit here, you can just click on I put together this chart which reviews the requirements, what we had originally proposed from the perspective of necessary variances, and what the changes that we have made, resulted in. And as you can see, it really hasn't affected the variances needed for the subdivision itself, and I'll have some other information to provide you about that in a minute. But as you can see, by changing that side yard, the one side yard to 20 feet, we, oops, I got this backwards, but, we've eliminated some of the variances and we've reduced some of the others. I think that I have the key backwards. I believe that the blue is stuff that, well, let's go through it one at a time, sorry.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so, we still need the relief for the lot sizes, we still need the relief for the lot widths. As to the building, the lot coverage is still, a change. We're looking for 27% on one and 21.6 on the other, which is an average of 24.3. And if you compare that to the, existing lot coverage, we're pretty close to, that's, right now with all of the little bungalows, the coverage is almost 24%. And what we're proposing averages out to a little bit more than 24%. We've increased the side yard so that the, total side yard is 25 instead of 30, but it's still, not the 50 that's required. The single side yard is 20 on one side and 10 on the other, so on the one side we meet the single side yard.
Your new plan has 10 and 20, so your side yard is, your combined is 30, not 50. I think you just said 25.
It was 25 and we moved it to 50. Thank you. And the 10 feet is from the internal line, so we're not impacting existing neighbors, we're impacting our future purchasers. Same for the deck setback, and the pool setback is now in compliance because the pool itself is at 20 feet from the side. So we have, I'll redo this chart and resubmit it, but
What he does one, right?
maybe. Variance eliminated. The total, well, the total side yard should be blue, not,
Yeah, that's,
but it works otherwise. So you're right about that. So we'll talk about the building in a minute, but I wanted to talk in terms about the area, the variances that we need for the overall subdivision. And what I have here is an aerial photograph and analysis of the lot widths in the area. And I looked at 3 or 4 lots either side of this 496, and then I also looked at lots across the street. The average average lot width, which is one of the variances that we're looking for, on our side of the street, exclusive of our lot, is 76.13 feet, and we're looking for approximately 80 feet for each of the lots. If we look at the lots directly across the street, their average width is 76.63 feet. So the lots that we're creating are very much in keeping with the lot widths of the neighborhood. The other thing I looked at, but I didn't put it in the chart, is that, and this is not true of the Oceanside. The Oceanside lots are much deeper than the Bayside lots. But the Bayside lots to immediately either side of us are approximately, they range anywhere from 12,000 square feet up to a little less than 20,000 square feet. So none of them are in compliance with the lot area or the lot width either. But the point being that what we are seeking to create is very much in keeping with the character of the neighborhood as far as lot width, and to a lesser extent, but certainly to some extent, with the lot area in the neighborhood. So that's where we're at with that. The benefit of, granting the variances that will allow this to happen, there's several of them that I wanted to point out. The first is, right now we have pre-existing non-conforming use. If the variances are granted and we get this subdivision, we are going to have a conforming use with non-conforming dimensions. So, my understanding of the goals of zoning is that's exactly what zoning is trying to do, is to move you closer to compliance. And I would suggest that because, the nature of getting a use variance is so much greater than the nature of getting an area variance, the step of going from a non-conforming use to a conforming use, despite the dimensional differences, is huge. And that's a big impact of this project and this relief. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is what is motivating my client to do this. And obviously, in these kinds of projects, there's an economic motivation. And so they have certainly looked at building a house on this property and the economics of that. So obviously, the economics of building two houses are better than the economics of building one house. But the important distinction here is that that difference has to be balanced against the value of just continuing the non-conforming use that's there now. And clearly, if the economic benefit were for a house were greater than the economic benefit of continuing what they're doing, that's what they did. But so clearly that's not the case. So what makes this work economically is the fact that we would get two houses instead of one. Otherwise, we would just continue to do what we're doing, or with this extreme non-conforming use, or perhaps look at some kind of co-op situation of what's there, just to memorialize that use forever. So, to the extent that there is value to this board and this community in ending up with conforming uses as opposed to non-conforming uses, despite the area variances, that certainly would be a benefit of the granting of the relief here. And we fully understand that you can't grant this relief for a building envelope, which is why we submitted the house. I think we need to do a little bit more work on the house that we submitted, because I'm looking at it this afternoon, I'm not sure that the house actually fits in the envelope, which you may have noticed, but we can certainly do that. We certainly will propose a house that fits into the dimensions we will ultimately allow. I think at the end of the day, we're ending up with lots that are smaller than required, but very much in keeping as to width and area for the other lots in the vicinity. And certainly the lot width is the same. In lot coverage, we're proposing on average a slight increase. I think it's like 95 square feet or something like that, as compared to the coverage that's there now. But I think that the use that we propose is substantially more beneficial to the community or that neighborhood. Although people who have come and commented have indicated that they don't want to see two houses, they also indicated that they want these bungalows to go away. So,
Right. One wall.
yeah, exactly. Well, we do
And
too.
don't have anything blocking the view.
That's true.
Right, we understand all that.
Right.
And
And the other forms of relief will all flow. And I think we end up with a comparable circumstance.
well, we have, actually, the subdivision is one thing, but the granting of relief without actually having plans for the house. is a
Right.
whole different.
Right, well,
That's a whole
we
different animal.
made an attempt with the house that we submitted, but
Right.
there are some issues with that I grant you that we will have to come back with
Yeah.
more detail on that.
Okay.
But we didn't
I
want
mean,
to,
there's no question.
we didn't want to
that-
spend the time and effort on architect's time and stuff like that without having a sense that there was somewhere to go.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that this would be a benefit. Argue that way.
Right.
But the idea of us granting area variances for subdivision on a small lot without knowing what we're putting there.
Right.
That's not something we know.
Right, well, we can get you some more detail on that.
Okay? Yeah.
That would be,
But I think we're moving in a good direction.
Alright, great.
And I think that you can, just with the board, and you guys can say, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think this is a positive thing on the phone.
Okay, good. Well, that makes for good implications.
Yeah.
And a very unique piece of property.
Very
I
unique,
don't know that
no
there's any other
question about
bungalow
it.
colony in the village, so.
Okay, so, Joe, do you have anything on this?
The presentation of the subdivision part was really an example. Now on the build out, I guess I would think, my concern is there are a lot of variances on concerning the build out.
Right.
You know, it's new construction, blank canvas. I'm concerned that there's so many variances.
Right, but I think we could, assuming you granted the subdivision relief, I think that if we had to come back at a future date to convince you to give us variances to build an appropriate sized house, this is the kind of relief we would be asking for. And, you know,
Well, you go where it's gonna go, I mean,
Right.
that's just my.
Yeah,
But you are asking for it now, though.
yes, we are.
Cause you
And-
could just say, we just want the subdivision and we'll do the house later, but I think you started this out by
Right.
saying you kinda need both, or
Yes.
else you're not sure you're gonna do it at all.
Right, well, again, back to the economics of the whole thing. And, you know, the benefit for you is that if you approve the variances for what we show you, if somebody wants to build something different, they probably have to come back to you to do that and make a different case.
So what are you saying, so when you come back, are you saying you could present something similar to this, which is tweaked, or?
Well, no,
Go back.
I don't know, I don't know how far, you know, based on what we're hearing now, we may wanna go farther in the design of the houses that we can propose there than we might have otherwise, so.
Okay.
But the reality is what we submitted won't fit in the box that we drawn, so that doesn't give you enough information, you know, that doesn't give you the correct information to do that. So we'll come back with some more details on the nature of the houses that we might construct.
And also keep in mind that our job is to minimize
Yep.
variances.
Right.
So,
You know, I think we can make some
You
arguments
guys
that.
can give feedback though, too, before there's nothing wrong with that. You know, considering this as a give and take, and
right. Well,
he's
we-
going back to the architect, if you have any thoughts about what they have presented, maybe.
I ask that naive new guy question? Could the architect and builder not fit two homes in those lots without the need for variance?
No, I don't think so. It'd be pretty small if they could, just because of the actual required setbacks. And the houses would be the houses would be the size of the bungalows as opposed to the size of houses to either side of us, which are in fact on similarly sized lots to what we're proposing. So maybe one of the things I'll do when I come back next month is I'll look at the actual size of the houses on either side of us. And see if that helps us.
And I know you also,
But these are not large houses.
They are large,
Not compared to across the
Not
street or
400,
down the
yeah.
road. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, again, relative.
They're very large.
and the other thing, Jim, is that the side yard setbacks, and you can make the case for, they aren't gonna impact each other.
Right.
And then, but, you know, they're not always gonna be, they're not gonna have family bonding. You
Well,
know
no,
what I mean?
but-
So,
but
I
whoever-
understand people that buy it knowing that
That's
that's really
the
not,
case. Yeah.
you know, we like to have the side yard setbacks, minimum side yard setbacks adhered to as much as
Right.
you know that, we can.
Right.
we can
Yeah,
have
I know,
that.
then this
So
was, I think
just
this,
keep that in mind as
We
we
will.
go forward on this.
just thinking of this as kind of a special case because we are doing it for
We're all
ourselves and to our neighbors. Well, that's
We're all
exactly true.
And we appreciate the knowledge.
But we'll
This is
talk about it.
something we can kick around.
Yep.
Just know how we feel on that, because, and then we've been pretty consistent on
Yep.
having that.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
so-
single family applications, yeah. This is a good little bit, this is a variation in opinion.
You all good? That's why we did.
Exactly.
Okay?
Okay.
Please keep that in mind.
Sure.
Okay?
Yep.
Anybody else? Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
My name is Sybil Houghton. I'm the immediate neighbor just to the west
Okay.
of the cottage. Clearly, two houses would be better than 8 cottages which are rented to unknown people with no regard for the environment. However, this applicant clearly is looking for profit. Otherwise, he wouldn't do it. However, zoning by historically is detriment to when we ignore required setbacks, placement. They're not really respected kind of community we would like to see. This applicant is not really showing homes that would conform to my house, which meets the requirements. And I would like to see what these houses will possibly look like. I'd like to see them conform to the requirements, not request all of the setbacks. And I'd like those respected.
I think you heard us even start to address that.
Yes, maybe smaller houses would fit better into the lot size and really conform to the code.
Well, that's a possibility, I mean, that's what we strive for, is to minimize these variances. And in any municipality, there's always variances, especially for and such. These plans, are available to you for the office, so you can see, this is what it is. You're welcome to come but believe me, if you've been here for the meeting, you can see what, how we handle this application.
So there's been an improvement of the initial request, the various,
Well, the applicant is gonna go back and they would, as the attorney mentioned, he's going back, the needs to look at the lot size, and fine tune the structure that needs to put on it. I'm sure he'll be asking for relief, and so I've got to go back and forth and look at it and balance.
thank you.
I'd just like to point out briefly in response that she's, one of the reasons we went to 20 feet on the other side is that she's getting exactly what the code requires her to get, that 20-foot setback, from her property.
Right. Anybody else? No? Okay. I'm gonna make a motion, we're gonna hold this over for all purposes, have a second please. By Jim, all in favor? All right. Yeah. Good. Motion number 9, Michael Cavanaugh, 28 Ballsy Avenue, applicant request variances from 19735C for proposed accessory structures located inside the yard. Jim, it was pointed out to me by the building inspector that the new survey that was submitted part of the deck and pool, or maybe a full on there, it's now in front yard. Which would require a little bit of survey, which we're talking about, which would require either additional variances to be advertised for, or back to the old. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Why don't we put this over till next time? I'll
okay,
straighten that out.
you see what I'm talking about?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so,
I mean, I do.
okay. We can put it over, absolutely.
Yeah, I suspect what'll happen is we're gonna move that back.
Okay, just, you know, in fairness, we can't go with.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, do you have any other feedback at this time about anything?
That was the only, no, I don't. I mean,
Okay.
This is quite a project, it looks pretty impressive.
Yeah. It's all accessory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I know.
the architect and the surveyor invented what they now call the side yard coverage,
Uh-huh,
lot
yeah, I
coverage
noticed that,
calculation.
that was a new calculation.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of neat, so
Yeah,
we'll
beside
we'll be happy to talk about that.
Yeah, the chart, I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I look forward to talking to you about that. as
Yeah,
well.
but you're gonna have, you're gonna have to decide what to do about that,
Yep,
okay?
yep.
So we just hold
Okay,
it over. and
that's
say-
fine, I wasn't thinking about that specifically, but I thought that this might ripple, so that we need to, which is fine.
Hopefully we get it all cleared up in the shop,
Yep.
okay? So
Thank
I'd like to make a motion that we hold this over for all purposes, that's second. Second by Dan, all in favor? Okay, Tim,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Another holdover, okay. And now we're up to number 10, me and Carolyn Renzen. Are they here?
I think you just,
He just ran to the men's room.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
He thought he had 5 minutes, but that went quicker.
Oh, yeah, yeah, thank you very much, huh?
Sorry.
We're really missing when I close up and lock up.
we should really do that.
Right, Jim.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Alright. So I guess for those people watching at home, we'll now look at a brief message.
If it recorded.
Alright, here we go. That ended much quicker than we thought, my friend, you're up. Alrighty, number 10, Lee and Karen Renzen, applicant with variances from 197.7C to construct a swimming pool that will result in a building area lot coverage of 21.7%, where the maximum permitted is 20%. Yeah, take a breath here and then you can sit through the whole meeting and
Got my affidavit of mailing and my green.
Okay.
You've been talking to Lisa in my office.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Good evening, board members. My name is Will Shapiro. I'm representing Carolyn and Lee Renzen in this application where we are seeking an area variance of 1.7% so that we can build a pool to the size of our light. The survey that's, you all should have this survey I'm showing. At the top, you'll see the difference between the two amounts that we want, and the legal, it's really only a couple hundred square feet. I think it's about 300 square feet. So the current, without a variance, we could build up to a 600 square foot pool, and the goal is to get this 1.7% variance and to build a 900 square foot pool. I think it's important to note, and this is all in the application, that this lot is undersized. It's only 16,960 square feet, where the zoning calls for 20,000 square feet minimum. If the lot were 20,000 square feet, we would be able to build a pool probably much larger than 900 square feet if we wanted to. So I don't think that the instant request is anything egregious. We're also, I think it's important to point out that although we are asking for the area variance, we're not asking for any setback variances. So this pool, whether it's 1 square foot or whether it's 900 square feet, like the way we want it, it's going to be the same distance from the neighbors. It's not going to cause any
stress in the neighborhood, it's gonna change the character of the current house or the surrounding houses or the neighborhood. Is there a question that you're getting ready to ask?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And another, thing that I wanted to point out, not that this is necessarily, salient to the application, but I think it's relevant nonetheless. We wouldn't even need to cut down any more vegetation or anything in order to accomplish this, pool, the larger pool, if the variance is granted. If you look at the aerials of the property, the way that the property lays today, there's already enough room for this, size pool without the need to cut down any, further vegetation. We are asking for incredibly narrow relief. We're only asking for basically the bare minimum that we need in order to accomplish this, variance. I want to point out also, this is a family home. It's not an income generating property. It's not transient rental property. It's a home that a family owns and a family lives in and a family wants to use this pool. I'm sure you saw the little note in the application. It's a family of swimmers and they would like, the pool to be big enough where they can not just swim and plunge, but they want to be able to actually, do some laps and stuff like that. And additionally, they want to be able to enjoy some of the pool if some of the other kids are doing those laps. So basically that it would be big enough so that some people could be doing exercise, some people could just be doing recreational activities. So in sum, there are no undesirable changes in the neighborhood based on this pool. As I mentioned earlier, it's the same setbacks and we wouldn't need to clear any additional vegetation regardless of whether or not there are clear restrictions. I still think it's relevant. And a cursory review of the neighborhood aerials would show that this pool would not stand out in the neighborhood. In fact, it would fit right in with all the other pools that are on the surrounding properties. There is no other way to achieve this other than to reduce the footprint of other improvements of the house, which obviously is not feasible or practical at this point. So the only way to accomplish this pool is to get this variance. I don't think 1.7% can be considered a substantial variance under these circumstances. As we are only asking for just enough to accomplish this pool, we're not being greedy, we're not asking for extra coverage to do a pool house or a spa or anything else, we just want to get this pool in. And there will be no adverse effect on the neighborhood, as I mentioned before. The setbacks aren't being tampered with, so the effect on any neighbors wouldn't be any different regarding the size of the pool. The only thing I could think of, tongue in cheek, is a bigger pool would have more people in it, which would be more splashing than a neighbor might hear, but I don't think that's material. I would just like to mention lastly that I did represent the Renzens when they purchased this house about a year or two ago. This is not a self-created issue, so to speak, in the application and the pool that they want. Yes, they created it, but the hardship is not created by them, it's created by the undersized lot. So that's basically what I have for the board today. I hope you'll take this into consideration and grant us this variance.
Just to point out that you don't buy an undersized lot. You can make the pool fit. So your argument is they want a bigger pool with a 1.7% increase in lot coverage. You make a good argument that you don't have to have additional setbacks. That's a big one right there. But I just, for future reference, I always like to point out that the fact that right now as a family who wants to use the pool and the swimmers you want to play in it, next year there could be a for sale sign on that house. It could be completely different. Whenever we do variances, the variance goes with the product, it doesn't go with the family. Nothing, I don't respect anything you said, but I mean, that's an important point that we have to consider. I think, overall, I think you want a bigger pool and you have the room for it, you have the setbacks for it, that's the important thing. I don't have anything else. Joe?
Yeah, these variances come to us in all different ways. Now, some of them come to us where someone wants to add a pool to existing property, existing structures, and what have you. And they need, whatever block coverage or setback side yard you want. In this case, you're doing a lot of building on this property, and the pool is part of that. Could you describe, from front to back, exactly what it looks like, get a feeling for exactly what, build out is now?
I don't have that exact information with me, and I would not want to accidentally misrepresent something. I'm not sure what on here is going to be new and what is existing. So I could certainly provide that information, I could probably provide that information tomorrow, I just don't wanna misrepresent anything tonight.
I mean, you understand that if it's a complete build out of the property, then it's a blank canvas, then,
Yeah.
you know, at least I would look at it a little differently than just, okay, we have everything here in place, now we want to put a bigger pool in that, it should have two different decisions that we made.
Well, would the board like that list?
So I'm a little confused as to what exactly is happening.
Well, this, you know, from what I can tell from the survey, looks like the existing, front part of the house is staying.
Right.
And then everything else is new construction.
That's
Right, so, you know, if that can be tightened up and we can lose that, you know, 2% lot coverage, maybe that's a possibility. But I don't know because I don't have that information.
Am I hearing you correctly in saying that you're suggesting that other structures that might be being built as of right be decreased and, their coverage so that we could use that for the
Yes.
logical?
Yeah, I mean, it's a concern. I mean, if you can give me that argument, I mean, you know, certainly, you know. Is that clear, Jerry?
Yeah, if I could jump in, so we worked with this, back and forth with this architect for about a year, not the person. The whole project came in, we worked in getting something conforming that would not need variances. We were ready to issue a permit on the addition, so it's a rear addition, some back patio works, walks, siding, and a second story addition for a couple of bedrooms. They're not rebuilding the whole building, but they are making additions. If this would happen, if they came in all at once with the pool and this, it would have been all encompassing. But what had happened was we had a permit ready to go, and then they came back and said, I wanna make the pool bigger. So I wrote the denial just for the pool because so it wouldn't affect the previous variance. But your point is correct. I mean, they could nip and tuck on the addition or portico or whatever. But I didn't do the denial in that fashion because my understanding was they were gonna go with the original approval and then make this amendment.
But either way, coverage is coverage.
Coverage is coverage.
You advertised it for coverage, so whatever would change anything, whether it says pool, coverage for pool versus coverage for something else.
Yeah. I did say to construct a swimming pool that would result in coverage, so I kind of steered it.
I understand, but it's still, either way, if they nipped and tucked somewhere else, if you wouldn't need to re-advertise it.
Would just help me a little bit, you know, to be clear on this.
So what do you wanna do here, Joe? You wanna wait and see this before we?
Yeah, I'd wait and, you know, do some, a submission, you know, on exactly what you're doing there on the property. But this way,
No problem. I can put that on my letterhead and mail it, or email it to the board. Try to get it to you guys tomorrow. So, just so that I'm clear, you wanna know what's being built at the house, like, all these additions and stuff? Right. Yeah.
I think what Joe's really asking for is an explanation. He wants to understand it so that he can evaluate, right?
Right,
It's reading between the lines, but
Right.
you wanna be able to evaluate the whole package.
right,
Because something else might not be as important as a pool or whatever.
Yeah.
Think
We'll
that's
just hold it over.
Sure.
I understand what you
We'll
guys
just hold it over for all purposes, okay, and you get that to us and we'll have it. And then we move forward.
Let me
Thursday in October. I don't know what we're talking about.
I think it's the 20th, October 20. I think so.
Anything else from you tonight, board members?
I don't have anything, I think that would be it.
Okay, I'll work on
That
that.
cost, then we'll get this, we can move forward on this. Great, so I'll
Excellent.
make a motion, we hold this over for all purposes.
Second.
All good? Okay.
Thank you for your time
Thank you.
tonight, I appreciate it.
We will move you up on the agenda. That's a holdover.
You know what, I don't mind watching all of them, it helps me tune my craft, you know? I just see what Jim does and follow him.
Be careful with that.
No, I don't mind listening to all the different applications, I mean, and you guys are very efficient, some of the other, like, zoning boards, you could be there for 4 hours before your case is even, like, heard. Thank you
Okay,
guys
so
for your
we're all
time.
set for
That'll
tonight.
probably get you hit the head of the line.
Okay, we're all set, I'd like to make a motion to close tonight's hearing.
Second.
Second by Joe, all in favor? Aye. Good night.
Good night, thank you.